read from the New International Version from Acts chapter 16, beginning to read in verse 22. The crowd joined in the attack against Paul and Silas, and the magistrates ordered them to be stripped and beaten with rods. After they had been severely flogged, they were thrown into prison, and the jailer was commanded to guard them carefully. When he received these orders, he put them in the inner cell and fastened their feet in the stocks. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once all the prison doors flew open and everyone's chains came loose. The jailer woke up, and when he saw the prison doors open, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself because he thought the prisoners had escaped. But Paul shouted, "Don't harm yourself. We are all here." The jailer called for lights, rushed in and fell trembling before Paul and Silas. He then brought them out and asked, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" They replied, "Believe in the Lord Jesus and you will be saved, you and your household." Then they spoke the word of the Lord to him and to all the others in his house. At that hour of the night the jailer took them and washed their wounds. Then immediately he and all his household were baptized. The jailer brought them into his house and set a meal before them. He was filled with joy because he had come to believe in God, he and his whole household. We thank God for his word to each one of us this morning. I know I mentioned in prayers praying for others, but I don't know whether there's any people that you know that we should pray for and such, and we're just going to have just a moment of quiet just to bring them up. It's something that I love to do, and also the persecuted church. As those that we know, illness seems to be so rife in many situations, many circumstances, and yet we continue to look to God for healing, to look to Jesus for healing. And we just bring all those just for a few moments now before we have our next hymn, just before God in prayer. Shall we just pray?